Well, back to life, back to reality, back to life. Well, Cleveland put everybody on notice that those games in Toronto really didn't mean much in the grand scheme of things. Because even though Toronto did hold court, which is what a team's actually supposed to do in a series, by the way, they're a completely different team on the road. I think in the playoffs right now, Toronto has a 2-7 postseason record. That's not going to get it done, and that's not the road record indicative of a championship caliber team. So they came into Cleveland today, well, yesterday actually, and they were hoping to seize a road game and take command of this series and get a 3-2 lead. And Cleveland made sure that this time they didn't let Toronto get a leg up on them and try to play catch up the whole game. And Cleveland beat the shit out of Toronto last night. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I mean, they beat the shit out of them. I mean, one thing that's crazy about this playoffs so far is the amount of blowouts that we've seen. I remember hearing Mike Breen comment on that last night about the ridiculous amount of blowouts. I mean, 30-point blowouts, 35-point wins, 25-point wins, 20-point wins. I mean, it's like teams just sort of just self-destruct when they get on the road in playoffs. I'm not used to seeing. Okay, in the playoffs, I'm used to seeing blowouts in the earlier rounds, especially with the 2-7 and 1-8 seed contests. Yeah, you used to see a lot of blowouts in those contests, but generally speaking, I've never remember seeing this many blowouts. It's like teams are mentally checking out on the road or something, man. It's like teams don't have that. This is what I was trying to articulate to some people I know a couple of years ago. It's like teams today, like back in the day, when you're in the playoffs and a team got up on you like 20, 25 points, when you got deeper in the postseason, it was very common for the other team to come back because they were both very good teams. This year, though, not seeing it. But going back into the game, Cleveland just manhandled Toronto last night. Their defense was stepped up, totally stepped up. I was shocked to see that Cleveland only had 11 steals as a team. I thought they had 20. You know, but everyone criticized Kevin Love, saying how he hadn't stepped up in this series, and especially Stephen A. Smith. And Kevin Love stepped up in a big way last night. I think it was 8 of 10 from the field. And I think he hit 2 3-pointers, I think it was, or 3 3-pointers. 25 points in all to lead Cleveland. Matter of fact, I remember I think the last 3-pointer that he hit might have been the last one. Put the team up just shortly before halftime. I looked at the score, I was just boggled my mind. 65-31. Kyrie Irving had 23 points. LeBron James had 23 points and I think 6 rebounds and 8 assists. Richard Jefferson's really getting it done off the bench, man. You know, he's a lot slower than he used to be. He's a step slower, but man, is he a good addition to this team. You know, remember his heyday with the then New Jersey Nets, but he's still a very productive player, and he gives them quite a bit of production coming off the bench. And with Toronto, when DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry aren't hitting, when they aren't firing on all cylinders, as they were firing on all cylinders last game, they win or have a very good shot at winning. But when they both are sputtering, That's what happened. They just totally just fall apart. I think DeRozan had 14 points, mainly because he went to the foul line a lot. Kyle Lowry, I think, only had something like, 13? I'm not even certain if he was in double digits. I think he did have double digits. But he was only 2 of 6 from the foul line. And that's just not going to get it done, folks. It's not. Bismack Biyombo, who everybody was hailing as the next Dikembe Mutombo, who had 40 rebounds in the 2 home wins at Toronto, was invisible. APP was put out for him. I think he only had something like 1 block shot and 4 rebounds. Tristan Thompson had a comeback game. He had a near double-double, 9 points, 10 rebounds. And Cleveland looks like that they're poised to, I would hope that they would just go ahead and take care of things in Game 6. Stop fucking around. Stop fucking around with it. Do it expeditiously, as Joe Clark would say. Just go ahead and just get this team out of its misery, man. Just move on. Stop fucking around before you guys get an injury or something, or you get funny bounces, or whatever, bad calls in Game 7, and then everyone's fucking criticizing LeBron James for being a fucking loser and underachiever for the whole fucking year, whole summer and to next year, Just kill this team, man. Just cut the head off, take the heart out. If I'm Cleveland, that's what I have to think. If I'm Toronto, they're only up 3-2. All right. Next game is at home. We've shown that we can beat them at home. Tie the series, go to Game 7. Anything can happen. Trying to think of anything else I want to say. I like the fact that Cleveland calmed down the 3-point shot. This is something that always puzzled me. Now, I want to admit that players are more athletic now than they were before. However, since you're so much more athletic than in my era that I love, the 80s and 90s, especially the 70s, the players are much more athletic now than they were before. But there were great athletes back then, which is a misperception that many people have, that players weren't athletic. Players have always been athletic. You can go to Wilt Chamberlain Archive here on YouTube and see footage of Bill Russell jumping over people. So don't get it twisted. People have always been ridiculously athletic. I think Russell had like a 40-something, 42-inch vertical or 41-inch vertical in his prime. Chamberlain was privy to exaggeration and hyperbole, but I wouldn't think it was out of the realm of possibility to say he had a 45-inch vertical at least. Maybe 50's pushing it, but he had a crazy vertical. All right, but anyway, back to the point. Since these guys are so crazily athletic, I want to see these fucking tomahawk 360 dunks during the game. I want to see a fucking player juggle the ball while in the air and slam it down, while he's fucking goddamn flapping his arms like a fucking bird or some shit, one of them. Like, I want to see some shit I've never seen before. Since they're so fucking more athletic now than they were before, boy, I see a guys jacking up threes, which is reminiscent of the guys who, so-called in my era, were the least athletic and were sort of resigned to shooting 3-point shots. Why so many fucking threes? Even Cleveland, who was doing a great job of staying away from that shot and just relying on that shot, toward the end of the game just started shooting up, jacking up threes again, whatever. But 15 to 23 pointers, that's cool. When you get close to 30 plus more, unless you're just fucking having one of those games where everybody's just fucking in the zone. Because I used to think back in the day that the Rockets team shot too many threes. Those, not the championship Rockets teams, but the ones a couple years later that had Barkley on those teams, I thought they shot too many fucking threes. They used to shoot like 23, I think, a game, which is, in today's era, I think normal, I guess. But anyway, other than that criticism, Cleveland I think they're on their way to the NBA Finals. LeBron James is headed to another trip to the NBA Finals, his 6th consecutive Finals appearance. And the weak, totally Glass Joe-like Eastern Conference opponents that LeBron's teams have always had to face, since the demise of not to say bad boy, but the new era Pistons in the 2000s and the Boston Celtics with Garnett and Pierce and Allen. Since those guys have fallen off, LeBron has absolutely no competition in the East whatsoever. So, on to Game 6 we go.